Goldie, Rachel Gentile, so she was the key witness earlier this week, and she described the phone call that she had with Mr. Martin just before his confrontation with Mr. Zimmerman. The defense sort of was attempting to discredit her. Goldie, in your opinion, do you think they were successful in doing so?
I'm not sure that they really were. You know, if I am a defense attorney and I've got posing a person on the stand, then I want to make sure that I am able to impeach their credibility at nearly every level. And it seems as though, some of the statements that Ms. Gentile said were not true. She was not 16. She did not give, Sabrina Fulton her real name. And she had some very plausible, speaking from her cultural lens, a very plausible reason as why not to tell the truth in those situations. Was she, however, consistent in that she believed Trayvon not to be the aggressor? Was she consistent in that Trayvon was near his father's house and simply trying to get away from George Zimmerman? She was absolutely consistent in those things, and there was really nothing that Don West did to undercut that credibility. And so some of the more unfortunate voices that we've heard online, some of the unfortunate voices that we've even heard, across other networks that are assailing, Rachel Gentile as some kind of ne'er-do-well who, is less than intelligent, who may be less than beautiful, who may be, larger than, a woman you might want to be. I just think that that is just very, very unfortunate. We can't choose our witnesses. She was the last person who spoke to Trayvon Martin that night. She has as much credibility as a PhD on the stand right now.
Goldie, also, it struck me, she, to me, came off as being very sincere in explaining why she had, the reasons that she gave as to why she sort of said something different previously. They seem, again, from her cultural lens, from her experience, it seemed very plausible to me, and she seemed very credible and very sincere to me. What effect, if any, do you think that's going to have on the jury, which, one of the part of the conversation we've been having this week is the jury comes from a different cultural lens.
Absolutely. And I think, therein lies the issue. The only thing that matters, it doesn't matter how we see Rachel Gentile. It matters how the jury sees her. It matters how the jury sees this evidence. And we have 5 women on that jury who may or may not share the same kind of cultural background that Rachel Gentile does. And I think that that's going to be whether or not the prosecution can really help them make that connection will be the rise and fall of this case. But there is so much more evidence to be, brought to bear. And there's another piece of information that I've been thinking about all day today, and I've been talking about it on social networks. Are we seeing the same George Zimmerman in court now as Trayvon Martin encountered that night?
Yep.
He is 100 pounds heavier. He is clean shaven. He no longer is sort of this buff, tan guy with a goatee that, to me, is simply more imposing. I'm not sure if I saw this George Zimmerman at night confronting me that I would feel nearly as intimidated as the George Zimmerman we've seen in some of these photographs. I wonder if that weight gain has something to do with the stress and pressure of being under house arrest. I wonder if that weight gain has something to do with a concerted effort by the defense to make sure that their client appears as non-imposing, as non-threatening as possible. Those are all of the things in the toolkit that the defense has to work with. And I think we've got to see these 2 men as they saw each other that night.